So, Marvel's What If series has just finished airing. It finished a couple days ago, and what did I think of it? It was alright. It was fine. It was an adequate show. That's really the best thing I can say about it. I liked it. I would like to be very clear on this one. I actually liked this show. I thought it was cool, but it is definitely not a perfect show. By any stretch. I figured we'd do this video by going through the stuff I did like, the stuff I didn't like, and then going through each and every episode and kind of thinking what I thought a little bit on what I thought each one was like. Now keep in mind, I did not rewatch any of these. So it's been like a couple months since the first one came out, so I don't remember it that well, but overall my thoughts have stayed fairly consistent ever since it came out. But let's just jump right into it. There's not too much to say about this one, but we'll go through it anyways. So, what did I like about this show? Well, the main thing is there were some very cool concepts here. I really liked them. I thought they were just fairly solid. They had some neat ones. And they also introduced some very cool characters, and they just did some interesting things. I just liked it. They also had some very cool action sequences, and just some neat spectacle and effects, and there was a lot of cool stuff in it. I really liked the Watcher as a character. I thought he was very neat, and I really liked Jeffrey Wright's performance as him. His voice was cool. I also liked how Chadwick Boseman was treated. This was, of course, his final performance ever. And I liked how in mostly every episode he got, he had like a little speech about dying and remembrance and all that. And I liked that. I thought it was sweet. So it's hard to explain what I liked about this show without going into spoilers, but I'll get into a little more about what I like when we get to the individual episodes a little bit later. So what did I not like about this show? The animation is not good. I don't like it. You get used to it a little bit as it goes on, but I still don't like it. Some characters look great in this, particularly Doctor Strange, because Benedict Cumberbatch's face is weird. He just works. But overall, I didn't like most of the character animation. I think it looks really good sometimes when nobody's on screen, and it's just landscapes or visual or just no characters is what I'm trying to say. I didn't like the characters, the character design. I think it was bad, and that is a lot due to personal preference. I don't like cel-shaded animation. I don't know why. It's never been my thing, and it applies here. A lot of the writing in this show can be pretty bad, and you can attribute it to it's what if it doesn't matter, and that's true to an extent. But there's a lot of just don't think too hard about that. Like there's a lot of wait a minute. If this thing is different, how did this thing occur? Or how do you get that? Or how do you know that? It's stuff like that. And yeah, it doesn't matter that much. It's what if. It doesn't matter. It's just a strict anthology series with very little correlation. But it's still there, and it bugged me a lot. In some episodes, it was worse than others. Some episodes didn't have this at all. Others did. Even my favorite episode of the show did have this. But again, it doesn't matter that much. This is a pretty minor issue. I think they've also just got a couple lame concepts. Some of them are just not that interesting. None of them are bad on a purely conceptual level, but they're just not that good either. There just could have been cooler ideas. The voice acting in this show is all over the place. Some people's voices are great. They're phenomenal. Other actors, they're just not doing that good a job. Even some of the real characters, like the actors from the movie in this show, some of them just aren't doing that. They're just not that good. And they also have some not great sound-alikes. Some of the sound-alikes are amazing. Particularly Black Widow is really good. But some of them are less good. the guy who plays Tony Stark. He's not terrible, but he's not great. Another big problem with this show on the whole is pacing. A lot of these episodes seem like they're kind of missing scenes. It's just cut very quickly, and I know a lot of that is due to pandemic stress. I get it. I'm not upset, but the show really would have benefited from longer episodes to really flesh it out. They also have a weird tendency to just stop episodes. Like, we're not at a good ending point yet. They just stop. And that's not with every episode, but some of them they just don't end well. So let's go through each episode individually. Let's start with the first one, Captain Carter. Also, for the record, I refuse to Google what any of the actual names are because I don't care. Also, full spoilers ahead for each individual episode. But Captain Carter, what I think of that one? It was bad. I hated it. For the first episode, I was very worried about this show. It didn't look good. It was trying to be funny but failing miserably. It was just a lame concept. Like, it's just a worse version of Avengers 1. I just didn't like it. It was bad. I didn't really like any of it. Episode 2, T'Challa Star-Lord. It was alright. That's really the best worst I can say about that one. It was fine. A substantial improvement on the first one. I liked the concept of T'Challa Star-Lord because it wasn't just Star-Lord, but a girl. Like in the case of Peggy Captain America, she was basically just Captain America, but a girl. This wasn't just Star-Lord, but he's a black dude. It wasn't. They actually did something different with his personality, and I really liked that character. He was really cool. Some of this episode was just kind of dumb as well. There's just a little bit of wasted potential on this one. Some of it dumb, like, this wouldn't happen if this didn't happen. Like, for example, him going to Morath at the beginning of the episode doesn't make that much sense. Like, why? Why is he doing that? And there's just a few other small bits here and there, but it's not that big a deal on this one. I liked this one. I thought it was solid, and I really liked T'Challa Star-Lord. He was cool. What if Hank Pym killed everybody? It was fine. I really liked evil Hank Pym. I thought placing it in Fury's big week was pretty neat. I unfortunately had this episode spoiled for me, so I knew who the killer was, but if I didn't know who the killer was, it would be really cool to have seen, or to slowly figure out who's doing this. And I think that twist is neat as well. Overall, I didn't love this episode, but it was good, and I enjoyed it. What if Doctor Strange lost his girlfriend, who I can't remember the name of? This one was phenomenal. This was by far the best episode of the show. Doctor Strange Supreme is super cool. This one was just on another level. I don't really have words for it, but this is genuinely one of the best things in the MCU, just period. I really liked this one. I thought the writing was just solid. The voice acting was really good. It was emotional. The action sequences were really neat. And like I mentioned earlier, Benedict Cumberbatch doesn't look like an abomination in this art style. He looks good. He looks like himself, because that man's face is all angles. I don't really have a whole lot of complaints for this one. My one complaint is if Doctor Strange didn't lose his hands, why did he go become a wizard? It doesn't make that much sense. Like, in the movie, he goes to to Carmitage, or whatever it's called, to fix his hands because he's desperate. He's out of options. He's out of money. He doesn't have a choice. In this one, this problem could have been solved with grief counseling. You didn't have to become a wizard. He didn't even believe in wizards prior to this. I don't know why he would go there to do that, but it's not that big a deal. This one was still really, really good. Genuinely a 10 out of 10. This is the only 10 out of 10, but it deserves it. Zombie episode, adequate. They really could have done better on this one. I liked some of the cool stuff. I liked seeing the zombie Avengers. That was very neat. I liked that it was set in Infinity War. I liked how Vision was keeping Wanda in like, and feeding Black Panther to her. But it could have been better on this one. I do like Spider-Man in this though, but it's weird that this is Spider-Man's only appearance. You'd think he'd be in this show more. But overall, it just kind of is fine. Like, it's not awful by any stretch, but it's fine. But this is one of those ones that ends in a weird place. It just kind of stops. It's just not a satisfying ending. And there's also just some dumb stuff in this. Like, there's a lot of me sitting or watching this. There's a lot of me mentally screaming at the characters. Like, you're a moron. Don't do that. Do anything else. There are better solutions than this. And I can't think of any examples off the top of my head because I didn't rewatch this. What if Killmonger saved Tony Stark? I didn't really like this one that much. I didn't think it was bad, but I didn't love it. It was just okay. There wasn't anything that good about it. I don't think it was awful. But I don't have a lot to say about this one. I don't really remember this one that much. There was nothing particularly standout-ish about this. Like, it could have been really neat. They didn't go far enough with anything. Like, he saves Tony, he goes and becomes Tony's buddy, he makes robots, and then he goes and becomes King of Wakanda, and then it ends. Well, and there's that weird scene at the end where they're like, ooh, let's try and stop him with Shuri and Pepper, but they don't do anything. And this is another one of those ones that ends in a weird place. Like, this one, it wasn't bad. This one, I think, would have benefited a lot from a longer runtime. It definitely felt cut short. But I did like it. I just didn't love it. It was adequate. That's the best thing I can say about it. Party Thor. This one was dumb as hell, but I really liked this one. This was the only one I thought was actually funny. The majority of them I thought were when they tried to be funny, just it didn't work. But I liked this one. It was so stupid, but I liked it. That's kind of what I wanted out of this show, was just some dumb fun stuff mixed in with messed up stuff. And it delivered on that, and I really liked this one. It was funny. There's not a whole lot to say about this one. Like, it was dumb, and like you could poke holes in the plot all day long, but it doesn't matter. It was just fun. Like, that's it. What if Ultron won? I really liked this one. This one was cool. However, this was probably the biggest one but that doesn't make any sense. Like, how did Thanos get all the stones? If he does have the stones, why are the planets that Ultron destroys still there? Who'd he sacrifice for the Soul Stone if Gamora was in that one scene? And a couple other examples like that. It is what if. You can poke holes at it all day you want, or however long you want. It's not that big a deal. But this one was probably one of the bigger ones for that, if not the very biggest. But I did really like it. I thought Ultron Vision was really cool. I've always thought Ultron was one of the more underrated characters in the series, and I really liked seeing him utilized correctly. If my biggest complaint of this episode is that Ultron was not voiced by James Spader. It would have been better if he was voiced by him, because Ultron's voice is one of the coolest things about him. The guy they had impersonating him, if he was truly trying to impersonate him, he wasn't doing a great job, but it didn't feel like he was trying to impersonate him. He felt kind of like he was just doing his own thing with it, and I thought he was good. I liked his voice in it, but I would have preferred James Spader. But overall, I liked this episode. I thought it was cool. Like I said, Ultron was really cool. In the scene where he notices the Watcher, that's some good shit. And finally, the Guardians of the Multiverse. I didn't like this one. It didn't seem necessary, and it felt just underwhelming. I didn't like it. I didn't think it was awful. I think Captain Carter was still worse. I didn't like it. Like, it wasn't awful. It just wasn't good. It just felt like it felt kind of like action figures banging against each other, but not in a good way. I just didn't like it. Like, Doctor Strange carried that team. Like, nobody else was that helpful. Like, and why would the Watcher make this particular team? If he knows this guy is going to betray him, it's very hard to say. They say in the episode that the Watcher he planned this out exactly. He planned for them to fail, but Doctor Strange to take them to their little pocket, through his little pocket dimension. Okay, I get it. But if that was the plan, why not just make another plan? It really felt like the only reason he used these characters is because they were the ones we had episodes on. And I know that is the reason, but it still doesn't make sense narratively. If the Watcher can see everything, anytime, any space, anywhere, why would he pick these guys, especially Party Thor, or Captain Carter? What is she gonna do against Vision with all of the Infinity Stones? Like, she's a lady with a shield. That's it. Or T'Challa Star-Lord is a dude with guns. That's it. Like, he's nothing special. Like, and you're up against Doctor Strange Supreme, who's one of the most powerful beings. Just period. That's it. That didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And I know, I get it, kind of what they were going for. I just didn't like it. I do really think this show would have been better strictly as an anthology series that didn't try to tie itself together at the end. It didn't work for me. Also, why is Gamora Thanos there? I know her episode was bumped to season 2. That doesn't mean that I like the fact she was in the episode. We didn't see her episode. We have no connection to her. At least with the other characters, as much as it doesn't make sense narratively that they're there, we've seen them before. We know who they are. Even if they're not interesting characters, Captain Carter, it just doesn't make sense. Like, it feels like an episode was pulled out at the last second. And it was. I know that. But it doesn't mean I have to like it. So I suppose that brings us to the end of this video. Overall, it was alright. It was good. It's worth your time if you really like the MCU. It is absolutely worth your time. But it really is a waste of potential. They had so much they could have done. They just didn't capitalize on it. And season 2, I hope, is gonna actually capitalize on that a little bit more. It is still a good show. I know I complained more than I said good things, but it is still good, and I liked it. And I know a lot of people love it, and I see why a lot of people love it. I'm just not one of them. But it is good, worth watching. I don't know what else to say. I'm gonna end this here before I ramble on forever. Thank you so much for watching. I probably forgot something, but thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe. 200 subscriber Q&A when we get there. Have a good night, everyone.